Hi, my name is Bill Seng, and I am doing a series on creationism here on YouTube. Some of you might notice that have been watching my videos. So first of all, it's been a while since I've been on. We've had a lot of stuff going on in our lives. We just moved. You can probably see the Kincaid painting in the background of the Lion King. That's pretty sweet, I think. Pretty awesome. So we've been really busy, my wife and I, and we have a little boy. I'm actually in the baby's room filming this right now because the baby's in the living room, and the area I would like to use to be able to film these would be not conducive for keeping our baby asleep. So here I am in the baby's room, ironically, recording the first one in a long while. For those of you who are familiar with my videos here on YouTube, you might notice that I have a brand new pair of logic filtering glasses, as one of my critics put it. I was actually very flattered that this person actually recognized my glasses, my big blue glasses I have, but these ones are actually pretty sweet. I like them quite a bit. They're not quite as flashy, but they're, I think, a little more fancy, and the brand is actually Fossil. I'm going to actually hold them up to the camera here because I think they're pretty cool. I think they're worth showing off. My dad is actually an optometrist, yeah, if you happen to be in the area, feel free to check it out. Again, these are Fossil frames, and I really like them quite a bit. They're kind of gray in the front if you can't tell, and they're kind of a manila color, a beigeish color on the side, and they feel really great, they look really great, and they make me look good. And they're my logic filtering glasses. What would I do without them? Anyway, so bouncing back into this topic, creationism. Honestly, I've had a little bit of difficulty keeping up with the Cosmos series. I would really like to get into watching that again so that I can do some more critique of that. Haven't had a chance to see the film Noah. Really want to do that because I want to give my take on that. I've heard some pretty bad things from other Christian sources, but also some interesting things from other sources that shine some light on some of the more controversial things of the movie Noah that might actually enhance your viewing of it if you're familiar with them. So I'm not sure what to think of it yet because I haven't seen it. Lots of things going on. The movie God's Not Dead is out in theaters. I have not had a chance to see that either, and coming up soon is Heaven is for Real. Today, however, what I would like to talk about is an article that I came across online. It's called, let me get it pulled up here real quick so I can tell you what it's called. It is called 7 Signs of Evolution. This is posted on NBC's news website, NBCnews.com, and it's I'm going to go over one of the. I'm going to debunk one of the 7 signs of evolution right now. So bear with me as we go through this. I'm going to give you kind of the introduction here to the article as well, so that we can get the summary from the person who wrote this article. So we can see if there's any false premise to it or not. I definitely think there is. I know that lots of people will disagree with me there, but even from an evolutionary perspective, I think that some people would have some grievance with how this has worked. But let's see how it goes. Okay, so he starts off. I'm just going to quote this for you. British naturalist Charles Darwin's groundbreaking 1859 book, The Origin of Species, proposed a theory that species evolve over time through the process of natural selection. Organisms most suited to their environment survive and reproduce, passing on their advantageous traits to offspring. Organisms that cannot compete go extinct. Though this theory remains a hot potato in the culture wars, it forms the foundation of modern biology. And then it says, click the next arrow above to see 7 signs of evolution. So this one's, anyway, that's not actually part of the article right there. So let's break this down a little bit. So it says, the origin of species proposed a theory that species evolve over time through the process of natural selection. Now, the premise of the author right here is that that was proven correct. One problem here is that that's not entirely true. Natural selection in itself, just simply selecting the traits that an organism already has to survive, is not how I think most evolutionists would propose that evolution happens. You can twist the meaning of natural selection to mean other things, such as, if you look at random mutation and such, which I don't believe in random mutation. I believe in mutation, but on random mutation, there's no such thing. That's oftentimes proposed. and there's different time frames in which such things happen, evolution happens. Some people say it's over long spans of time with no change, and then all of a sudden a lot of change. And other people will say that it happens very slowly over a long period of time. And Richard Dawkins even goes as far to say that it's moving so slowly you don't even notice it happening, which is why he proposes that you can't even notice it in the fossil record, that there's no transitional forms, because it happens so slowly you can't notice it. Darwin's theory, generally speaking, by the scientific community, is sort of accepted, but not really. There's a lot of flaws with it because he had very little understanding of genetics. He actually proposed a theory of heredity that flopped big time. More or less, if a tall person mates with a person who's short, that their offspring is naturally going to be middle-sized. Well, of course, like I said, he didn't know a whole lot about heredity and about genes, and because of that, he didn't fully understand. I mean, he probably observed, but didn't fully understand the fact that that sort of situation, you could have tall children, you could have short children, and you could have medium-sized children. There's no truly limiting factors. In fact, I have a family who are fairly tall people, and their offspring are even taller than they are. How do you explain that exactly? Good nutrition, good exercise, etc., etc. That's how I would attempt to explain it, but even then, that's probably not sufficient in itself. Anyway, he goes on to say that this is a hot potato issue in our culture. Well, no. Natural selection is actually a very observable and scientifically proven theory. It's the grander theory of evolution that through natural selection that new organisms can evolve, such as a lizard or a reptile eventually evolving into a bird. That's the controversial aspect of it. That's something that's never been observed, and it's something that's never going to be observed because it just simply doesn't happen. And it's that's the controversial part of it. Natural selection in itself, not controversial at all. That with some people it is, I will say that, but very, very few people, even in the creationist realm, will contest that that is a controversial issue, or they do not believe in it. I believe in natural selection myself. It's something that's very obvious to me. So, as kind of a long introduction, going into the first supposed sign of evolution, this would be Darwin's finches, according to this article. So we're going from Darwin into Darwin's finches. And why is it Darwin's finches were considered to be a sign of evolution? Well, let me just read it directly from this article, at least parts of it. The seed-crushing bills of little songbirds called finches were adapted to various niches, whatever, throughout the Galapagos Islands, proved integral to the formulation of Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection. And the birds haven't stopped evolving. For example, the medium ground finch, shown here, recently downsized its beak to exploit small seeds more efficiently. Now, okay, let's stop right there. Is this evolution? It's calling it evolution, but is that accurate? Well, in reality, no. It is indeed an example of natural selection, I will say that. If I recall correctly, with Darwin's finches, what he observed is that during periods of droughts, the finches with bigger beaks, with thicker beaks, were more likely to survive, probably because they could swallow more water than their smaller beaked friends, and therefore able to retain more water during the drought and able to survive. I think that's how it goes. On the other hand, the smaller beaked ones ended up dying out more so during times of drought because they just simply were not survivable. Well, then what ends up happening is that the drought season ends, and over time you see that the finches with the smaller beaks are starting to become more abundantly populated. And so is this truly evolution? Well, no. It's already within their genes to have big beaks or small beaks. It's not like something new is evolving. It's just simply genetic variation. And this is at the phenotypic level, not at the genotypic level. It drives me crazy when they call this evolution because The big-beaked finches have the genes inside of them to pass on to their offspring to give them smaller beaks. The smaller beaked finches have it within their own genetics to give birth to larger beaked finches as well. I don't know a whole lot about the dominant characteristics and all that within this type of bird, and more or less, you could call it like creation of new species and everything. But in all reality, what is a species? Nobody really defines what a species is consistently. And because of that, I think that this example runs into a whole lot of problems, because the finch, at the end of the day, is still a finch, and you really don't see any evolution really occurring. Again, depending on how you even define evolution, because evolution, in just a general sense, means change over time. And what you see being used here is bait and switch, meaning that evolution means change over the time. And what they do is they take it to a biological level and they see a change over time, namely that the frequency in birds with larger beaks appeared more frequently at one time, and then at another time the birds with smaller beaks appeared more frequently at another time. Yeah, in a sense, it's evolution because it's change over time in frequency. But the actual bird itself is still a finch. It's still a bird. It hasn't evolved into any new type of creature. It's staying within its genetic bounds. And I understand that with mutations and stuff, sometimes you do get variations that create what you could call maybe a new species. Again, depending on how you define species. But still not a new kind of animal. There's limits to how far an animal can change in relation to the genetics that it has, and the boundaries that it has, that God has naturally programmed into them. So that's the first sign of evolution right there, according to this NBC article. And I think that, yeah, no, I didn't go into really deep explanation of it, but it's because it's not a deep issue. It's very simplistic. I think that it's the word evolution is misused in this instance, and I think that the author really doesn't understand what natural selection is, or what a creationist like myself would believe in regards to natural selection. So thank you for joining me today. Thank you for taking some time to watch this video. Look forward to seeing your comments, and have a very blessed evening or morning or whenever you're watching this video. Thank you.